Am I the a-hole for not sharing my success with others? I've thought about creating my own finance blog for 3 years. Everything was tentative, but I eventually took the leap and created my blog. I put hours into the infrastructure, design, and posts. I'm so passionate about blogging, and finance is such a niche topic that I never thought I would succeed. 2 years later, I'm able to live off of the money I'm making from my blog, and I'm making more from my blog than I have from any job I've ever had. In the early stages, I always sent my BFF my blog posts to not only just share my posts with her, but to even ask suggestions about how I can improve. I also thought about potentially hiring her one day if she were interested. They were never long posts, but she never read them. She just wasn't interested, so I stopped sending them to her. She started noticing minor lifestyle changes, such as buying a home I've always rented, and she asked me how I could afford it. She doesn't know how much money I make, but she knows that I blog full-time now, and she now seems interested in my blogs, asking to read them. She also asked to borrow money to replace the engine in her car. I told her I didn't have the money. I knew she couldn't pay me back, and she said, "You blog about finance and you were good with money. How do you not have the money?" I figured you'd help a friend in a time of need since I would do the same for you if I had it. Now for the top comments. Not Day Hull. I would do the same for you. But she had a chance to help you with her time and she didn't. Time and money are both valuable resources. She did not see fit to spend her resources on you, so why spend yours on her? Also, it is quite cringe-worthy that she'll ask how come you can't lend her money since you're a finance wizard. Well, lady, because I don't make stupid decisions with my money, such as lending it to someone that chances are won't pay me back. Lol, here is a financial tip. Don't lend money to deadbeats. I don't ever lend money. If someone asks me for money, I always gift it to them. Not a good idea to do business with a friend. If I fully trust a person, maybe we can talk about a loan. Otherwise, I only gift. Not Day Hull. She would do the same for you. She didn't even read your blog posts. She just wants to use you. Not Day Hull. User alert. She only finally gave your blog attention when it would benefit her. Okay, but the real question, what's the blog? This sounds like something I need in my life. Not Day Hull. I hate people like this. The ones who are only interested after seeing the fruits of your labor. Couldn't be bothered in the beginning, but now that the success is rolling in, shake my head. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for uninviting my friend for my engagement party? I, 26 female, recently got engaged to one of my old high school crushes. He was a foreign exchange student from Brazil. Last year, due to the state of things, I got stuck there during a business-related trip and met up with him, Gio, as we stayed in contact after he went back home. Things kicked off romantically, and we've been together since. I haven't gotten around to explain the relationship in full to our friends, just that I met someone and we're engaged. I'll be coming home soon and recently got into the details of our relationship with my friends. One of my friends, Anya, started talking about our old Brazilian exchange program and how she always liked Gio and hoped she'd get to see him when she came down for the wedding. She called him the one that got away and said she wished she took Portuguese so she could have gotten close to him. She really seemed enamored, and I couldn't bring myself to break her heart since she spoke so highly of him. However, yesterday I broke the news that Gio was my fiancé, and she seemed a bit off. She seemed even more eager to meet him and started DMing him on Instagram. The messages weren't overtly flirty, but they were a bit odd. She asked him if he was sure about me and if he gave himself enough time to explore. I'm really uncomfortable and have sent her a text and inviting her from the party. She called me a stuck-up and an a-hole for putting my jealousy before our friendship. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She was the one who let jealousy ruin your friendship. Don't invite her back out of guilt or anything else. It's one thing to have a crush on someone, but to actively try to dismantle an engagement and then act like a victim is repulsive. I mean, hands down, she's trying to sabotage the relationship. Why would you want someone like that at your engagement party or even wedding? She called me stuck-up and an a-hole for putting my jealousy before our friendship. No, she put her desire for Gio over your friendship. Her messages to Gio weren't called for. Kudos to him for letting you know. Her behavior made your decision justified. It's your party. You shouldn't have to be uncomfortable around one of your friends. Not a hole. No, you put your relationship with your partner Gio before your friendship with her, especially since she seems to try to become a wedge between you. Selfish? Yep. Justified? Also yep. Not a hole. I'm not even sure you could call it selfish, considering how uncomfortable Gio might be with this woman hitting on him at his own engagement party. I'd expect my husband to disinvite someone who was acting like a creep toward me to any event, let alone our own engagement party. Although I do think this whole situation is incredibly weird, why did no one know about Gio until now? Is OP rushing into things? It's just odd. We were all busy. The time was never right to go into details. Someone was sick, someone dies, someone got evicted, someone was pregnant, etc. It was never the right time to go. This is Gio. Next story. Am I the a-hole because I told my friend that she deserved to be fired? My friend and I met when we worked together. She was one of the first people to talk to me when I started and introduced me to other people that worked there. Well, I'm not sure what happened, but she started to get lazy. Show up late, stand around and talk. Which is whatever, but when other people have to pick up your slack, it's BS. When I was put on teams with her, other people would complain about her not pulling her weight. There were times we were trying to get finished and off early, and she still had social hour and cost us to stay till regular time or even late. She was being talked to by management repeatedly. She'd tell me she got yelled at. Their big thing was her being consistently late. I told her to leave earlier. Well, I have to drive all the way from. It's a long drive. I tried helping her improve with other things they coached her on, but she had an excuse for everything. This went on a year or so, and I found a better job and left. She kept asking me to get her a job there, but since I knew how she was, I told her they weren't hiring. We'd hang out, and it was a lot easier not working with her. She'd still vent, but I wasn't on the other side of it, so I could be more objective and less annoyed. This has been 2 years. She called me the other day and said she got fired. I said I was sorry to hear that, but places are hiring and she can bounce back. She started going on and on about how this was out of the blue and they never warned her. I bit my tongue. I'm a supervisor now, so she wanted my opinion if I thought she deserved to be fired. I kept dodging the question and saying, I don't know, I'm not there anymore. She said, no, just be honest. What do you think? You worked there. I didn't want to, but I knew she wouldn't let it go, so I said, honestly, no offense, but yeah, they warned you like 100 times. I even tried telling you how to improve, but you wouldn't listen. She said I was harsh and should talk to me later. Am I the a-hole? I probably am, but don't tell people to be honest when you don't want the truth. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You tried to be polite and she kept pushing you, so you gave her an honest answer about her job performance. She doesn't need to be cuddled. She needs to wake up and work on her performance and attitude. It may sting, but she sounds like she had it coming. Why else would she try to get another job? I bet she knew she was no longer able to get away with stuff. She needed to be dealt the harsh reality that if she gets lazy and irresponsible with her work, she's gonna be canned. Hopefully, she learns from this since that would be good for her. So true. So many people ask for an honest opinion, but when they tell an honest answer, they will start acting like you were an a-hole or you were so harsh. A. She was warned 100 times before it happened. B. She asked a question and wouldn't let go when you said you didn't answer. Don't ask a question, get an answer, then go all surprised Pikachu face. She is for sure the a-hole. Let her be salty all she wants. You are not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. She asked you to be honest, and so you were. She could have taken your honesty and used it to improve herself, but she decided not to go that route, so it's not on you. Not the a-hole. She's got to do better at her next gig, and if you lie, that won't help. Yeah, she was prodding because she knew but needed to hear it from someone else to confirm. Insisted on hearing it from someone else to confirm, then got mad at them for it. Sometimes I wonder if people like this do it because they do know and they do need to hear, but they can't stand knowing they did it to themselves. So they push this kind of thing just to have someone else to get mad at. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for disinviting a coworker for perpetually spoiling things? Almost every Friday, my coworkers and I will go out and get drinks and socialize. More often than not, it's an open invitation for the entire office, and even people outside of our team will join. We typically have a great time, but only when Logan, 20s male, doesn't show. Logan means well, but is easily excitable and engages people in conversations they're not interested in. The worst of this behavior has to do with spoiling movies, shows, games, etc. A few weeks ago, I mentioned that I had tickets to see the new Mortal Kombat movie over the weekend. Logan lit it up and immediately responded, "You love the scene where, spoiler, happens and when, spoiler, shows up." I was bummed and walked away without continuing the conversation. Later that same night, Amy, another co-worker, was discussing a TV show she was a few episodes behind in. Logan blurts out, "I can't believe that beloved character dies in episode whatever number." Amy, who had obviously not yet watched it, went silent and turned away. Logan laughed and said, "I just can't help it. I get too excited." None of us were amused. A few days later, in our team-only group chat, someone brought up Logan's tendency to spoil things and admitted that they wished he weren't invited to outings because of it. Multiple people agreed and began to list everything Logan had spoiled for them. With this in mind, I didn't add Logan to the email invite for the next week's hangout. He noticed he never got an invite and began to ask around. As I was the one who'd written the email, he was eventually directed to me. He pulled me aside as I left for lunch and let me know I excluded him by mistake. Rather than try and play it off, I just told him the truth, that the fact he spoils everything is obnoxious and rude. I told him that joining conversations just to spoil things is bad enough, but he also starts conversations with spoilers. Logan was immediately defensive, claiming it's not his fault we're slow to watch, /play, etc., and that he's just making conversation. I said that if he swore he'd be more conscious about this habit, that he could join us that Friday. He came, and lo and behold, spoiled the plot of a movie he wanted to see in theaters. Out of frustration, I called him a prick and told him that this is exactly why no one socializes with him. He left soon after, and even though I said what everyone was thinking, I felt like an a-hole. Am I the a-hole? Edit. A few weeks ago, we had lunch catered and all joined in the break room. A co-worker had brought a book to read during lunch, and Logan saw the cover, pulled up the Wikipedia, and read the entire synopsis aloud, including the big twist ending. I asked him why he would do that, and he responded, "Why not?" Not the a-hole. That is infuriating, and he deserves to be called out. If the group of people don't want him there, don't invite him. I would recommend planning these outings on your own time, such as at home during your lunch, and writing from your personal email to everyone's personal emails. This is to protect yourself if he goes to HR for bullying/exclusion. The job can't comment on anything done in your time and with your property. Absolutely seconding the suggestion to protect yourself HR-wise. But you're absolutely not the a-hole. This dude sounds obnoxious. Deliberately obnoxious, per the Wikipedia stunt with a book. This guy's dying to learn the consequences of his own actions. Yep, he absolutely knows what he's doing, and is doing it deliberately. Sounds like he's pretty much asking to be uninvited at this point. His little "but I'm just so excited" act is pathetic, bordering on hilariously pathetic. Please tell him the next time he starts his whining that literally thousands of people know what he's all about, and think he's a weapons-grade stain on the underwear of humanity. Not the a-hole. He absolutely can control his behavior. He chooses not to. He is deriving pleasure from spoiling things for everyone else. He can learn to control himself, or he can be excluded. The choices really do seem simple. Agreed. This isn't accidental behavior. It's intentional behavior that he has been asked to stop. So he is choosing to spoil and also choosing to do something that he knows is upsetting to others. Especially the situation mentioned in the edit. It wasn't his excuse of a "I'm too excited not to share" situation, because he had to Google the book to ruin it. I wouldn't want to spend any time with someone like that either. Not the a-hole. I think you're honest and decent to explain it and give him a chance. He blew it, but you tried. I have a friend like that, and as soon as they kick off, I'd cover my ears yelling la 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 in their face. Took a few times, but they got it. This was one-on-one convos. Imagine a whole work group yelling that in your face with their hands on their ears. Haha, the insanity.
Am I the a-hole for destroying my best friend's proposal because I believed she was being kidnapped? So this actually happened last weekend, and I'm still shaking. My best friend Emily, 29 female, has been dating her boyfriend Chris, 31 male, for about 4 years. I, 28 female, love her to death, and I've always supported their relationship, even though Chris is eccentric. He loves surprises and stuff, think flash mobs and scavenger hunts that no one asked for. Anyway, I was visiting Emily. We were walking around catching up when this unmarked white van comes up next to us. 2 masked men jump out and grab her. She begins screaming, and I freak out. So I did what any sane, frightened human being would do. I grabbed my pepper spray, legal where I am, yelled bloody murder and went wild. Sprayed one dude in the face, kicked another in the shin, and literally pulled Emily back by the coat while yelling for 911. Turned out it was Chris and 2 of his buddies. They were attempting this strange prank kidnapping into surprise proposal situation because Emily wanted a proposal like in the movies. Chris was yelling and crying over the pepper spray. Emily was scared while the cops arrived. It was chaotic. Now Chris is angry. He tells me I ruined the most significant moment of their lives and embarrassed him in front of everyone. Emily tells me she understands why I freaked out, but wishes I'd read the room. But how was I going to know? It seemed real. She was crying. They had masks, and it was a literal van. Everyone's acting like I overreacted, but I genuinely thought she was being trafficked. Am I the a-hole for spoiling the proposal? Now for the top comments. Read the room? Read the room? 2 guys snatch up your screaming friend on the street and she's telling you to read the room? What if someone else had called 911? What if someone else on the street saw and just started wailing on them? What if other people started going on local media about a girl getting grabbed up? This was a poorly conceived prank proposal, and you did what anyone else should have done. Not the a-hole. Your friend and her boyfriend are idiots. Also, what if she was carrying a firearm and not pepper spray? Hello, I agree totally. If she had been carrying a gun, she would have been justified using deadly force in every state in our country. This is the most brain-dead, asinine BS proposal idea I've ever heard. Not the a-hole. Holy craps. Will you be my best friend? I think you read the room perfectly. She was being abducted and you kicked ass and took names. This is exactly why we carry, and also why pranks like this are so freaking stupid. You absolutely did exactly what you should have done. And frankly, I am so offended for you that she's upset. I love this comment. I want Hopi as my best friend too. I am also so offended for you. If your friend doesn't come around to apologizing to you, I suggest this is a breakup of the friendship. You did everything a best friend should do in that situation. If they don't recognize their actions were traumatic to you and apologize profusely, then they are very emotionally unintelligent people and will not care for you in other ways, OP. You are not only not the a-hole, you are the freaking hero here. Standing ovation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my fiancé I don't want his best man coming to our wedding after what he did at my birthday dinner? So I'm 29 female and my fiancé 31 male, and I have been together for 4 years. We are planning our wedding for later this year, which has been going great, except for one person, his best friend Kyle. Kyle is one of those dudes who peaked in high school and is so insufferable. He is always making unnecessary jokes that seem like insults, to be honest. But my fiancé says he's just goofy and immature, so I've tried to keep my peace. Anyway, my birthday was 2 weeks ago. Nothing big happened, just a dinner at a nice restaurant with close friends and family. Near the end of it, someone mentioned the wedding and how everything was going, and my fiancé answered and said we were writing our own vows. I said I was nervous but excited. Then Kyle said loudly, I think everyone present in the restaurant heard it. That's how loud he was. Just don't cry halfway through your vows, like you did during your breakup, remember that? The table went dead silent. In the moment, I laughed it off because I didn't want to create a scene there. But I was humiliated. My dad was present, and my fiancé was aware that that breakup was abusive and traumatic. I later told him how hurt I was, and he said, "Kyle was just being Kyle, and you know how he is, babe." So I sat on it for a few days, even though I was hurt. But then finally I told him I don't want Kyle at the wedding. Not at the rehearsal. Not giving a speech. Nothing. Nowhere. I just don't want him there. Now my fiancé is saying I'm overreacting. That Kyle was just trying to be funny, and kicking him off the list would destroy their 15 years of friendship. But honestly, if Kyle cannot respect me, then why should I allow him to stand next to the man I'm marrying? So, am I the a-hole for refusing to have Kyle at the wedding after all this? Not the a-hole. I hate when people like this get away with their terrible behavior because their closest people say, "Oh, that's just how they are." As if you have to tolerate the disrespect because they don't know any better. He can't respect you at dinner in a restaurant. He won't respect you at your wedding. I'd be afraid he does something he thinks is funny which would ruin it. Not the a-hole. No doubt, inviting Kyle will definitely ruin OP's wedding, and it'll be in a way no one expects. So, the best solution for OP is to have a serious talk with her fiancé and make him decide what's more important, his wife or a 15-year friendship. You do realize Kyle isn't the only problematic person here, right? Your fiancé enables his nonsense and never calls him out on it. So of course Kyle keeps going and going. Immature or not, he's an a-hole. You sure you really want to marry a man that won't prioritize you over his already peaked immature bestie? Yes, absolutely. And what's this stuff about the traumatic and abusive break? Are you about to marry somebody who allows their friend to insult you and humiliate you in public with whom you've already had a traumatic breakup? I certainly hope I'm reading this wrong. Sounds like that's exactly what she's about to do. OP, your fiancé is a tool. He already is choosing his friendship with Kyle over your feelings, and he will continue to do so. Whether or not to invite Kyle is not your biggest problem right now. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my own birthday dinner early after my boyfriend showed up with 3 of his friends uninvited? I, 26 female, planned a small birthday dinner at one of my favorite restaurants. Just 5 of my closest friends and my boyfriend, 28 male. I reserved the table. I wanted it to be a chill, intimate night with the people who matter most to me. When my boyfriend arrived, he brought 3 of his friends that I barely know. No warning. No, "Hey, do you mind?" Just a casual, they didn't have plans, figured it'd be fun. It completely changed the vibe. The restaurant had to rearrange the table, and suddenly this dinner I planned turned into him holding court with his buddies. They dominated the conversation with inside jokes and barely acknowledged my friends. I felt like an extra at my own event. I tried to stay polite, but I was honestly upset. After about an hour of feeling invisible, I pulled the server aside, paid the entire bill, including for his friends, told everyone I wasn't feeling well, said a warm goodbye to my friends, and left. Later that night, my boyfriend texted saying I was dramatic and made him look bad in front of his friends. He said I should have just gone with the flow and that I ruined the night for everyone. I didn't yell, I didn't cause a scene, but now he's acting like I was out of line. Am I the a-hole for walking out of my own birthday dinner? Now for the comments. My boyfriend texted saying I was dramatic and made him look bad in front of his friends. He said I should have just gone with the flow and that I ruined the night for everyone. Reply: you do look bad. You invited people nobody knows to my pre-planned birthday dinner, who then proceeded to take over my birthday dinner as if it were some casual night out. You ruined my birthday. I mean this as politely as possible. Please go F yourself. That is the perfect response and deserves gold. After you word for word say that to him, you dump his lack of class and manners ass. Not the a-hole. I'm curious if he has a pattern of being inconsiderate and brushing off your feelings, or if this is a one-off thing. If it is, then I really don't know what he was thinking. Bringing people you barely know to your birthday dinner, and then pretty much ignoring you is a really crappy thing to do, especially since you were the one paying and ended up covering the bill for the 6 people you actually invited, plus his 3 friends. That's ridiculous. He should have been the one who paid for them, not you. And no, you didn't ruin the night for everyone. He ruined the night for you. The fact that he's trying to turn it around and blame you isn't a good sign. And if this is a pattern of behavior with him, then I would seriously reconsider this relationship, because I doubt this is what you want your future to be. Your boyfriend is displaying classic narc behavior, selfish and extremely entitled. Best to get rid of him now, because he will only get worse. I wouldn't even bother putting boundaries in place. Just get away from him and stay away. Next story. Am I the a-hole for choosing to get married where I live and not where my mom lives to be accessible for her and her husband to bring my stepsister? Maybe I, 29 male, will come across as an a-hole, and I'm here to face whether I am or not. Let me begin with some background. My dad died when I was 6, and it was just me and my mom for a few years before she met Dan. Dan was okay, and they got married a little over a year after they met. I was 11. A few months after my mom and Dan got married, Dan's ex said she wanted to move with their daughter to another state. Instead of saying no and fighting it, Dan and my mom decided we would move to follow them, and that had us moving 8 times in 5 years, just so he could follow his daughter around. He never fought it in court, and they uprooted me every time too. I was resentful as heck. I was away from the rest of my family and chasing after a stepsister I didn't really care if I never saw again. I know my mom cared, and Dan cared, and they were married. But I felt so unsettled when we never knew how long we'd stay, and Dan even admitted his ex didn't want us nearby, so she'd keep moving when she could. But then my stepsister and her mom were in an accident. Her mom was mostly fine, but my stepsister was left with life-altering injuries and became disabled to the point that she needs around-the-clock care. Dan and my mom put down roots in the last location and ended up with custody of my stepsister. They have devoted their time to caring for her. Meanwhile, I moved out when I turned 18. This was a source of tension between me and Dan because he had expected me to be there for his daughter and to one day take over her care. But I told him that would never be me. It made my mom sad to be away from me, and she and I argued over my choice to leave and to hold a grudge against their decision to move so much. She argued about wanting to keep the family together, while I pointed out she tore me away from mine and removed my stability. I started dating my fiancé a decade ago, and we got engaged last year. Our wedding is this year, and we sent out some save the dates with some details on it for everyone. My mom called and acted surprised that I was getting married in the town where I live instead of where she and Dan are living. She told me my stepsister could not do that kind of commute and asked how I expected them to be there. I told her if they could not make it, I would understand, but my life is here, and this is where I would get married. Dan called to tell me how selfish I am and how messed up it is to choose to marry somewhere my stepsister can't access. He said it would have been no big deal for me to go there for one day to get married. I hung up the phone on him because I didn't want to listen to BS like that. My mom has brought the topic up some more, and I told her I was not traveling just for them to be able to go. She got upset and asked me if I really felt okay with my only sibling not being there. I told her she didn't want to hear my honest response to that, but yes, I am okay with Dan's daughter not being there. I said I can live without her there, if she's just going to come and tell me how I should have gotten married where she lives. She said it feels like my choice is a punishment for their decision to follow Dan's ex and daughter when we were younger, and she doesn't think that's entirely fair, especially not to my stepsister. Am I the a-hole? Oh, honey, I am so sorry. Your mom has continually chosen Dan and Dan's daughter over you, and here she is, once again prioritizing them. That sucks. I hope your mom makes it. But even if she doesn't, I hope you have a wonderful wedding, and I wish you all the best in life. Thank you. I'll be able to enjoy my wedding even if she's not there. If she's going to pout over my decision, I'd enjoy the day more without her. So would everyone else, I think. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit my husband's kids so he can have some time off? My 29 female husband, 34 male, has 3 kids from a prior marriage, 11, 7, and 6 all males. They are absolute terrors, as both of their parents have struggled to agree on parenting and rules. When I met my husband 4 years ago, he stated that he wasn't looking for a mom for his kids. His kids have 2 parents, and he was looking for a wife for himself. I like kids, but I've never wanted any of my own, but I was open to the idea of him having kids. Back when we dated, he had the kids on weekends. Things were fine with him. He never expected anything from me regarding the kids. I told him I'm not interested in babysitting, and he said he'd never ask me to. He'd just hire his niece to babysit if he needed one. Long story short, in the last year, they've moved from weekends to 50-50 custody. Since the kids are old enough to not need their mom as much, this was always the plan. One parent has the kids for a whole week, and the other has them the next week. My husband lost his job and got a new one that pays less. His niece also went off to college. My husband can't afford any of the local babysitters because they charge, quite frankly, a lot. The kids are terrors, so babysitting does not come cheap. He is also now making less money. This weekend was his friend's bachelor party. My husband is a groomsman and was expected to attend. Last minute, he asked me to watch the kids for the entire weekend so he could attend the event. He thought it would be no big deal and that I would definitely agree. I was kind of miffed that he waited until the last minute to ask me. I told him that I can't because I have to go to the gym and I have brunch plans with my mother. And honestly, I just don't want to. Sounds like a good way to ruin an otherwise good weekend. Also, why would I watch the kids so their dad can go get plastered and ogle strippers with his friends? No, thank you. It's not like it was an emergency or something. Dan was very upset because he couldn't go. I brought up the fact that before we got married, he told me he wouldn't expect me to watch the kids, ever. He seemed surprised because he thought I would have changed my mind. I told him I'd watch them if there was an emergency, but otherwise, no. I didn't have kids because I didn't want the responsibility of them. I like his kids. I cook for them sometimes and take them out to do stuff occasionally. I show up to their sports games. But this is for me and the kids. I would say that they all really like me because I don't try to meddle or pretend to be their mom. I'm their dad's wife that they like. I love Dan, but I think he needs to not try to shirk his responsibility as a father. He signed up for this. Having kids means you don't always get to do the things you want to do. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Their mom won't switch weekends with my husband. She makes plans for the weekends when my husband has the kids. She's not going to cancel her plans last minute because he doesn't have a babysitter and wants to go out with his friends. You married a man with kids. I'm pretty sure that means you're not babysitting. Why'd you marry a man with kids if you hate his kids? They were in his life before you. You seem to resent him and his kids. I like the kids. I have no problem hanging out with them here and there. They're not the best behaved, but that's fine. That's for their father to deal with, not me. No resentment here, other than that I didn't like him putting me on the spot to babysit last minute. Not the a-hole. He waited until the last minute so there wouldn't be time to discuss other options that would be more expensive or inconvenient for him. Not to mention, if he is a groomsman, they could have planned the bachelor weekend when he didn't have the kids. Not to mention, it sounds like he can't really afford to go on a bachelor weekend. And if he has the money for the bachelor party and strippers, he has the money for a sitter.